Hey everyone. In this video, I thought it'd be interesting to compare two, financial services type companies. I know they're a little bit different, but I wanted to compare Sofi Technologies stock with Visa stock. And by the end of this video, I'm going to answer which one of these two is the better stock to buy right now, according to my opinion and my opinion alone. So I'm going to compare these two on some financial metrics and then make the decision at the end of the video. Let's begin. SoFi, beginning with revenue comparisons. Looking at SoFi quarterly revenue, I mean, it's in another ballpark compared to Visa. SoFi generated 472 million in revenue in its most recent quarter compared to 7.985 billion for Visa. I mean, it's a totally different ball game. Still, SoFi is growing much faster than Visa. SoFi has tripled its quarterly revenue from July of 2020, whereas Visa has not even doubled its revenue from July of 2020. So Visa is a much slower growing company. SoFi is a much faster growing company. In fact, SoFi has grown revenue at a quarterly rate above 40% for, I want to say, 8 consecutive quarters now. Whereas Visa hasn't grown revenue 40% maybe for decades. Visa's quarterly growth rate, investors would be happy with double digit growth rates from Visa. Slower growing company, but it's in a much a different business, more of like debit cards, Visa cards, and spending, trying to attract spending on those cards. And SoFi is more of a total financial services, right? They just got their bank charter, so they take deposits, they make loans, personal loans, student loans, home loans, and they offer several other financial services, investing and others as well. More of like a one-stop shop for digital banking. Visa, different business. So that's interesting too, because which business do you want to be in right now? Visa's got better near term tailwinds, right? Inflation is good news for Visa because they take a percentage of every transaction that happens using a card with the Visa logo on it. So if inflation causes your grocery bill to go up and you're paying with the Visa card, Visa's getting more revenue because they just get a percentage of that transaction. Meanwhile, SoFi near term is not in a good position, right? We've got two things pressuring SoFi. Number one is you've got the turmoil in the banking sector that's causing people to be concerned about the safety of their deposits. So they're moving money to safer institutions that they feel are safer, like Bank of America and JP Morgan. And smaller banks, less well known banks, are suffering as a result. Although in the latest quarter, SoFi's report showed no signs of difficulty from that, I will say. But that isn't to say that it's not going to feel it in the next quarter. So they've not really um, eliminated that risk. They've just shown that so far they've been okay with it. And then, secondly, with the potential for a recession, SoFi is not in a good position with that either. I did a little video a while ago, not a while ago, just a couple of days ago, talking about how more than 50% of SoFi's loans outstanding are personal loans. These are loans with very little, if any, collateral. And when people lose their jobs, the first loans that they default on are personal loans. They're not going to default on their car loans before they do on their personal loans, right? Because if they default on their car loan, they can get repossessed. If they're not going to default on the home loan, because if they default on the home loan, they're not going to have a place to live. So in the ranking, personal loans is the first one where people say, I'm feeling pinched. That's the one I'm not going to pay. So near term, Visa, better prospects. The next thing I wanted to compare on is profitability and looking at net income. Visa again doing an excellent job, 4.25 billion in quarterly net income. That was on revenue of 7.98 billion in its most recent quarter. Look at that net profit margin, incredible, over 50%. But look at SoFi lost 34 million in the most recent quarter. Now they're a younger company, they're investing in growth, that's understandable, and they're making incredible progress on that front. They went from a loss of 180 million to a loss of just 34 million. So they're moving up in the right direction, and management says that by the fourth quarter of this year, they will be profitable on the bottom line. So they're making great progress. They're just not on the same level of Visa. They dream to be on the same level as Visa in terms of profitability. This metric, I don't have data on SoFi, as you can see up on top. My Y charts doesn't give me this data, but I just wanted to show how excellent Visa's operating profit margin is here. Trailing 12-month operating profit margin of 67%, and that has moved nicely higher over the last decade. I just wanted to demonstrate what an excellent company Visa is. And I guess that kind of foreshadows my decision that I'm going to say in the final slide here. But before I do that, let me compare these two on valuation. Looking at the forward price to sales, Visa is nearly or more than 10 times as expensive as SoFi, measuring by the forward price to sales of 13 compared to 1.9. But I mean, I showed you why that is justified, right? Visa's operating profit margin, net income percent is just so massive. It's just such a well-run company, very profitable, and itself and MasterCard are not competing in a way that's hurting them in terms of profit margins. So I'm a big fan of Visa. I like SoFi. SoFi's doing an excellent job. I just don't think SoFi can compete with Visa right now, just in terms of what's going on in the industry, the near term headwinds, and the riskiness with SoFi. If you ask me this same question, which one is better? In the fourth quarter, my answer might be different. But right now, my choice for best stock to buy between these two would be Visa. But again, I'm not downplaying how good of a company SoFi is. I'm just saying Visa is that much better. Visa is just, it's one of my favorite stocks, and I've recommended it as my top stock to one of my top stocks to buy in 2023. All right, so that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.